Welcome to This Week in BJJ, the only show running the gamut of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and running it live every Friday night.
Hello guys, welcome to a brand new episode of This Week in BJJ. Today is November 16th, 2012. I'm your host, Budo Jake, joined as usual with Budo Dane. What's going on today, Dane?
Not much. A great week of training. Drilled last night and I was working some stuff that I really liked. I kind of had a breakthrough moment where I think I figured out a few details that made something work, so I'm excited to get back at it.
At Gracie, Baja America, there was a class, and followed by, there's upstairs and a downstairs. Right. Upstairs was sparring and downstairs was drilling. Why did you choose to go to the drilling class?
Originally, I planned to spar, but then I had to go grab some tape, and everyone was sparring. This guy said, "Hey, do you want to drill with me for a few?" And I thought we were going to be down there for 10 minutes, but we started working on stuff, and it kind of got away with it because I started figuring out the details that I was missing. Mm-hmm. And then from there, next thing you know, it was like 45 minutes later, and there's like no point to go back upstairs and spar for once.
Right. And I think, Andre Guevara said it, and I'll repeat it. Drilling is so important.
Right.
Sometimes you don't learn very much just sparring if you do a lot of it. I think sparring is great for implementing what you already know, but as far as the learning process, drilling is probably better.
And one of the things that's helped me is that knowing that I'm going to commit myself to a drill, I have to make sure that I have something to drill, because I don't want to roll to a drilling class and be like, guard passing, I guess. It always helps when you have something specific. So it's actually helped me kind of whittle down what I need to work on and really think about it. So yeah, I agree, definitely.
Starting to think about competition for next year?
Absolutely. I want to hit 2013 hard. Still on the fence about the Long Beach Open, but there's a few competitions in January that I'm looking at. And so what I want to do is I want to do it regularly enough that I mean, it's never going to be like this, but that it's like another day at the office. It's just another, just another competition, kind of grind out those competition nerves.
Yeah, certainly takes a lot of competing to get to that point.
Right. Because we competed, like 6 or 7 times last year?
Yep.
And even then, I was still getting a little worked up before matches and stuff, so it'll take a while.
Right. Well, let's take a look at the news, guys. We're fans of all kinds of martial arts here at Budo Videos, one of them being Sambo. Sambo, not a lot of people know, they actually have world championships, just like Jiu-Jitsu does. They usually take place in Russia, and we have a clip of the finals match, and it ends just like everybody wants a Sambo match to end. Let's take a look. So this guy's from Russia. His opponent's from Kazakhstan. Very easy to see what's going on, being that one guy is wearing all red and one wearing blue.
See, they get the best of the no-gi and gi worlds.
You never see guard pulling in Sambo. Always see great stand-up. And there it is. Sweep.
Go right for it, right?
Right for the straight ankle lock.
Look at all the reaping.
They're going to show a replay, but that sweep was really nice. It was like a pendulum sweep, almost like a tornado sweep, but not something that you'd expect to see in Sambo.
Right. Inversion has hit the Sambo world.
Yeah. There's a throw, which gave him 1 point. And there's that ankle lock. Who doesn't want to see a Sambo match end with an ankle lock?
Right. And from the episode it rolled up, it seems like the Sambo guys, they compete under different rule sets. So.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah, reaping is just a huge part of what Sambo guys do. And for all you guys, Jiu-Jitsu guys that want to improve your leg attacks, I would encourage you to train with some Sambo guys. I have, and they know a lot about leg attacks.
Do you think reaping really improves the leg attack percentage?
Yeah, I had some friends from Sambo school, and I really wanted them to do the no-gi worlds because I wanted to see how they could do in that context. And when I explained to them the reaping rules, they're like, no.
So that was a deal breaker for them, just like out?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
One guy even told me that's like trying to armbar with only being able to use one leg. So it's unfortunate, but rules are rules.
Right. Well, coming up this year, December 8th, we have the IBJJF Black Belt Pro League. This is the first time they're going to have this event, and this is great because they're actually paying out for the different divisions. They have $5,000 for the winner of each division. on the up to 64 kilogram division, we have Koji Shibamoto, who will be attending, Lercio Fernandez, Daniel Beleza. In the up to 76 kilogram division, we have Augusto Mendez, Jonathan Torres, Leandro Lowe, Samir Chantry, Lucas Lepri, and Cobrinha. And then the up to 88.3 kilogram division, we have Bruno Antunes, Romulo Bahal, Otavio Souza. And in the over 88.3 kilogram division, we don't have any announcements on the competitors yet, but I am super excited for this event.
For sure. And you might, if you follow IBJJF closely like we do, you might be confused by what Dane was just saying about up to 64 kilograms, because usually there's rooster weight, light featherweight,
Right.
featherweight. This time they're combining two weight classes into one. So you'll see some matches that you wouldn't normally get to see.
Right.
In the absolute division, you see matches you wouldn't usually see, but those are usually bigger guys.
Right.
Now we get to see rooster weights going against light feathers, and feathers going against lightweights. So it should be really interesting. And the match that I really want to see is the rematch of Tanquinho versus JT Torres.
That's going to be a great match. And that's a question you see, when sitting around the academy, that's a question. You see someone at you wonder how Rafael would do against someone a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter. And now in this way, we get to see it. And I think this is cool because, in a way, this is IBJJF's showcase event, you know what I mean, of some of their top talent. So I'm really excited for this.
For sure. And so Dane just mentioned a few of the names that were already chosen. There are some other ones that are going to be announced. I think they're going to have everybody chosen by next week. And there's also a wild card factor in that 6 of the 8 people per division are already chosen, and the other 2 have to qualify from the Long Beach Open.
Which is the same day.
Right, which is the same day. So there are some big names that aren't invited. Some people like Roger Gracie, Andre Galvao, Marcelo Garcia, because they haven't competed a lot recently. So they're ranked far lower than the top 10. So it's possible that some of those guys could come in and do the tournament in the morning and still take part in that tournament. So I hope some of those guys do.
That'd be a long day.
Yep, certainly would. The IBJJF Black Belt Pro League is going to be broadcast live on IBJJFTV.com, and it's totally free. So be sure to join us for that. That's going to be a great tournament, December 8th. Next news item is Robert Drysdale. He is on the next episode of Rolled Up. We filmed this in the summertime at his academy in Las Vegas, and it was interesting because the episode prior was Marcelo Garcia.
Right.
Everybody knows Marcelo Garcia is one of the best. Well, Robert Drysdale is the last person to have submitted Marcelo Garcia. So it was very interesting interviewing him and training with him. He's a great guy. And let's take a look at the clip.
I always remember this one tournament where I won the state championships in São Paulo as a purple belt. I won my weight class in the Open. And that was like the big tournament. That's the first big tournament I've ever won, because there were a lot of good guys. Like, even guys that are still active today that were competing that day. And I beat everyone. It was like such a big deal. Because I remember I'm just so happy afterwards. And driving back home, my coach, Paulo Strecker, told me, man, you're the best purple belt in São Paulo, in the state of São Paulo. And it doesn't sound like a lot right now, but at the time it was like, man, it was life-changing. And I remember being so happy. I couldn't sleep that night. I was so overwhelmed with the fact that I won state championships, purple belt level, and my weight class in the Open. It was just such a happy day. So I remember, to me, that emotionally speaking, it was as significant as Abu Dhabi.
Robert Drysdale. Man, it was so fun to interview him because, and not to take anything away from some of the other world champions that we filmed with, but to have somebody who is fluent in English, like Robert Drysdale. He's fluent in Portuguese and English. He has Brazilian and American parents. So to hear somebody being able to speak about the nuances of technique and his background was fascinating. I think you guys are going to enjoy that episode. And he teaches some techniques that you'll probably like from butterfly guard.
Oh, love it.
Don't have an exact date, but for sure that'll be out next month, sometime in December. Another amazing guy is Christian Grogart. And if there's anybody else besides me that at least publicizes their travels in jiu-jitsu, this is the guy. He took a trip last year, spent 140 days traveling around the world, training at jiu-jitsu schools all around. How's that sound to you?
It sounds like he's pretty much robbing me of my dreams. I'm a little hollow inside, actually, after hearing about that.
He posted all of his travels on his blog, and I followed that closely. It was fascinating hearing him going to remote parts of Russia, going to Central America and Brazil, and he just wrote a book. And so I interviewed him yesterday. He lives in Denmark, so we did that over Skype, and we talked a little bit about his book. Let's take a look at the interview. Okay, guys, we're here with Christian Graugart. Christian, thanks for staying up so late for us. I know due to the time change, it's pretty late there in Denmark is where you are, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's not really that late, but getting up a little tomorrow for a competition, so...
nice.
Let's start.
So Christian has just come out with a brand new book called The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Globetrotter. I haven't been able to read it yet, but it's at the top of my reading list. And I followed your blog when you did this amazing trip all around the world. You visited, was it 140 countries? No, that was 140 days.
Well, it was 140 days,
right.
But close enough.
And how many countries did you visit?
I think it was something like 25 or 24 countries, and it was, I counted more the number of gyms, and it was 56 gyms.
Wow. Let's go to the beginning. What prompted the trip?
I'll say I just came to a point in my life where I thought something needed to happen. One of my training partners committed suicide tragically, and I just kind of realized that I had to do something about my life, and it could end anytime. So I just had that an idea to do something crazy at one point, and then I thought maybe I should go on a little trip. And every year I've been traveling. There's not much jiu-jitsu in Denmark, or they didn't used to be. So every year I've just been traveling to learn jiu-jitsu for the past like 13 years. And then I couldn't really decide where to go. And I looked at a map. Well, I have these like 5 places where I could go, and maybe I should just go all the way around the world. And that was the beginning of it.
Wow. You know, it seems like travel is much easier for Europeans than it is Americans, but it takes a lot of money to just quit your job and travel around the world like you did. Where did the funding come from for that?
It actually didn't take a lot of money. It just took a lot of preparation. I'll say it was more than I needed a lot of money. I just needed a lot of time to like prepare my life for something to be possible, such as like don't own too many things that will keep me at home. You know, I don't live in an expensive apartment. I never had a car. I've never, you know, had any expensive habits. I just basically keep my expenses as low as possible, and then then I have the freedom to do something like this if I wanted to do it, and that's how it works. So it wasn't really about being rich or anything. In fact, I didn't really use more money on the trip than I do here at home. So.
I followed your entire trip on your blog, and you went to a lot of amazing places. Some places, names of countries or cities I'd never even heard of. One in particular was the place in Russia that seemed so far off the beaten path. What prompted you to go to these hard-to-reach places like that?
I think in the beginning I was just looking at where I wanted to go for a jiu-jitsu trip, and never been to Brazil, and I really wanted to see Japan, and I wanted to go to Hawaii and stuff like that, and then I just thought maybe I'll just go like 5 places for 5 months and check it out, and then I thought, well, I'll make a blog actually, and just see if anybody wants to invite me to other gyms maybe, and then in no time I had like a few hundred invitations from basically everywhere. And that's when I kind of realized that I could take this really far. So going from just being like a simple training trip to like some big cities where you would go, then suddenly I had a shift in the whole project where I just at one point said, well, fuck it, let me just see how far jiu-jitsu can take me. I mean, let me just see how far out in crazy places I can actually find training. So it just became my mission to basically go to the strangest, most faraway places I could possibly find.
And what was the most memorable place for you?
Well, everybody asks about that. What was your favorite place? I always give the same answer. My favorite place is just the whole world. Basically, I think it was the experience of basically the whole world being one place. But there were some interesting, like, far away places that I would never have guessed I would go. So just really pretty funny.
For a lot of
jiu-jitsu everywhere.
Right. For a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, it's their dream to go to Brazil. Was it more or less than what you expected?
It was definitely less. I'm sorry to say. I must think that I think that if I went there in the beginning of the trip and I had the exact same experiences, it would probably be one of the coolest destinations in my life. But I think I ended my trip in Brazil, and that was after 4 months of traveling basically every single place I could possibly go, except the South Pole, and honestly, it just felt like another big city and another beach. And I was a bit disappointed, but looking back at it, I had some really fantastic, good experiences there. It was just at the end of the trip, and I was very tired, and I was getting a little bit sick, and it was like a Brazilian holiday. I only rolled with tourists, basically. I didn't really roll with many Brazilians in Brazil, which was kind of sad. But yeah, I like Brazil, but just coming from what I came from there, it was. I'll be honest and say it was less than I'd hoped for.
How has the trip changed your jiu-jitsu?
In every possible way, basically. I think technically, I've just the fact of going into 56 different gyms around the world and rolling with maybe 1,000 different people who has 1,000 different styles is just the confidence in my game really skyrocketed. I rarely get surprised by any moves anymore. Not saying that nobody can beat me. There's certainly 100,000 people who can beat me out there, but just my confidence in my own game just really skyrocketed after rolling with that many people, and and also just I think it's just I've been thinking this always, but I think I just really understood how important it is to just be open towards everyone and anyone, and just train with as many people as possible, and have an open door policy. And I think that became very, very clear to me, because I got so much out of just walking into all these gyms and train with everyone, basically.
There's probably a lot of people out there that have followed your journey on your blog, and they might be wondering what's the difference between what you wrote in the blog and what you wrote in the book. Is it the same, or is it more content in the book?
It's definitely not the same. I'd say the book is more of a story, basically. The blog was, when people read a blog, they're probably at work or something, and they just want to read like 2 or 3 lines and see some nice pictures. And the book is more of an actual story. So there's a lot more content to the book and a lot less photos. It's been really interesting to try to describe things with words instead of photography, as I usually do.
And what's your hopes with the book? Do you hope to inspire other people to travel and train? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that was basically the idea with it, because I had basically the experience of my lifetime. There's no doubt about that. And if I could inspire just one person to do the same or something similar, that would be more than enough for me. I mean, I didn't write it to just sell a ton of books, and I didn't write it to try and fund my trip at all. It was basically just to, if I have kids one day, I'll have a book to give them, and hopefully they will do something similar. And I already have a few guys from my gym who are planning very similar trips next year. So,
you call it the trip of your lifetime. Do you think you'll never do anything bigger than that again?
I'll definitely do something bigger.
Nice. Good to hear. Christian, for guys that are interested in buying your book, where can they get it?
It's on Amazon and Kindle, and it will be on iBooks as soon as Apple approves it, which can, as I read, can take up to a few months. You can also go to BJJ.com, and there's some links there, but otherwise just Amazon is easiest.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today, Christian. I look forward to reading your book and keep following you on your blog.
I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
You too. BJJ Globetrotter, man, living the life.
Dude, I would like to reiterate that he's a complete and total jerk for stealing all my dreams, and I'll never forgive him.
You have any? Have you ever taken a trip and traveled? I mean, trained while you're on a trip.
When I was at Korea, but when I go to Korea, it's my old jiu-jitsu team, so I definitely go there I go there partly to train. But I forgot who I was talking to. I said, it used to be that you would pack a bathing suit and a towel because you never know when there was a jacuzzi or pool, wherever you went. Now it's to the point where I always want to squirrel away like a summer weave or an ultralight gi because you never know when you'd be like, oh, there's a school, and just to drop in and say hi and train.
That's right. I would encourage all you guys, if you're going to travel to a new city and you have some time, to go train, because you'll meet some people and hopefully they're friendly enough and they'll show you around the city, and it's so much more fun to have somebody that knows the city show you around than just to go to the typical tourist spots.
Definitely, and I feel like if you get in with the team and you show that you're cool and you roll not necessarily well, but you're gracious when you spar and train and stuff, you immediately start making friends.
Yeah, I've trained during my travels so many times, and that's just, it's a nice thing to do for sure.
And by the way, it totally transcends languages. So if you are going to a place that you're not necessarily strong in the language and you go roll with them, you'll probably make a bunch of friends you can't necessarily have a one-to-one word conversation with, but you're going to have plenty of friends because you have that in common.
They speak the language of jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we got a new product that we need to talk about. Let's take a look at new products. Our buddy Eddie Bravo just came out with a new DVD. This is one that he's been talking about for years, and it finally came out. Maybe 5 years ago, he came out with his Rubber Guard DVD. And the title is a bit of a misnomer because it was see if I can remember, it was Rubber Guard, Half Guard, and Spider Web.
Right.
And yeah, so it's basically bottom positions. This DVD is called Mastering the Twister, but it's not just about the twister. It's about the twister, the back position, the mount, and also spider web. So it's a ton of techniques, and the production quality of this DVD is the best I've seen in a long time. They have a plexiglass floor and with cameras underneath, so you can see what's going on from underneath. I've never seen that before. It looks like they really spared no expense.
Right.
The DVD is 2.5 hours long. If you know Eddie Bravo, you know that he's really well at articulating all the fine points. I think you'll really like this one if you like those positions, especially the twister. Let's take a look at a preview clip. Eddie Bravo's Mastering the Twister, now available on BudoVideos.com, $99.95, 2.5 hours long. Add it to your Christmas list.
Right now.
Okay, so we got a nice interview today. We got Pedro Sauer black belt, Robert Lovi. He's doing some interesting things with Eduardo Tellez these days. We're going to get it down to all the details. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
BudoVideos.com, home of the world's largest selection of quality jiu-jitsu kimonos. Show-your roll, storm, tatami, bull terrier, venom, and others. Styles from more than 30 top brands in stock and ready to ship. BudoVideos.com. You're only a click away from owning a new gi today.
Pedro Sauer black belt, Robert Lovi. Robert, thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
A lot of people might not know your story. You're not like a world champion, but I love exposing some of these people like you who spent their life in the art. Tell us a little bit about how you got into jiu-jitsu.
That's kind of a crazy story, but make it pretty simple. The guy's from, the guitarist from Biohazard, named Bobby Hamble. Early 90s, he got into it and saw a little scuffle, and I saw this, didn't know what I was looking at, really. And I was just mesmerized. And I was like, what was that? And it's like, yo, it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, yo. You know, you got to check out Hicks. And this was right around UFC 1, of course, when everybody else got into it. So I went and found Pedro Sauer, who was a friend of theirs and a friend of, I guess, the rest of the guys from the band to train. I'm trying to remember the other guy's name. Anyway, the other guitarist trains as well. So I was hooked from that day on. I actually moved to Utah, and that was a good place to focus. Not a whole lot to do there besides hit the slopes. And just met one of the nicest people in the world. You know, the guy is, we call him Midas. Anything he touches turns to gold. You know, Pedro's a special guy. And from there, I just took it to where every opportunity I could, I went and trained with whoever it was at the time in Brazil, or bought laptops down there or whatever, sold them to try to get some privates, and really just became a passion and an obsession, and I loved it. It's just a puzzle, and my mind likes to figure out stuff like that.
Would you consider Pedro to be your main teacher?
Yeah, absolutely.
For people who don't know too much about him, tell us a little bit about his teaching style.
Professor Sauer is he's a protege of Hickson, of course. Coral belt now. Really friendly guy. His style is always, he's the kind of guy that he doesn't need to put fear into you, or you want to please him just because he's such a cool guy, and you want to make him happy and do what's right on the mat. And you can go into that place with the worst attitude, frown, dog peed on you today, I don't know, everything went bad, and you're leaving with a smile out of there. The guy's always just a gentleman, classy, and an absolute genius when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I've trained with guys, okay, so you flip upside down, backwards, total ninjas, and I have the same question I pose to Professor, and he's just like, oh, that's easy, you do this to stop the move. So it's very, very basic, but very efficient, his jiu-jitsu. Still, out of all the guys, I used to play chess. I used to try to go play in Washington Square Park in New York City. And there's always these homeless guys that would beat you in three moves. Just, that's Professor Sauer on the mat, just efficient to the point.
You trained with lots of different guys. Any particular guy stands out to you?
Oh, yeah, Jacare, of course, Dedede. Some guys you might not know, or some guys might not know Hachinho. He's been one of the best teachers ever. Guys from Braza a lot. Limao, one of my favorites. That's Ricardo Vieira. He's amazing, moves phenomenally, and Jamalel.
You didn't follow too much the competition scene. Did you compete much in your career?
A little bit, more when I was a blue belt and a purple belt.
What was it that didn't draw you to compete more?
Well, I mean, honestly, the ones I won, I really lost. And the ones I lost, I felt like I won. So I kind of got discouraged after a while. As far as that goes, but that's not even it. It's just not what I was doing. It's like, I was like, that's not even what I'm doing. I'm doing something else. And I really like jiu-jitsu for, it's different categories, of course. It falls into martial arts, sports, self-defense. What I was drawn to was the self-defense and martial arts end of it. I liked the competition part of it, but it's expensive if you get hurt.
Yeah.
Right. Some people have the genetics for it. They're just a little bit, built a little hardier. And so it's just a different game. I do like it. I like to compete once or twice a year. A couple of them I won. I was a 50-50 guy. Won some, lost some, but
By 50-50, you don't mean the position 50-50.
Not at all. Not at all. They didn't have that position then.
Right.
So, won some, lost some, but it was a different time. You could walk in off the street, and not off the street, but you didn't particularly train for it, and you decided, hey, I'm going to go take a trip with my friends and go compete and have fun, and you do okay. And these days it's different. I mean, you need to, play the weight game. Just have your game dialed in. You can't do that anymore.
Right.
But do you think it's good to pay attention to the competition scene?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I watch I go to as many as I can. I watch every one. I'm a nerd when it comes to all that.
What do you think about the level over the years? Do you think it's stayed the same, or like if you look at blue belts now versus?
No, it's exploded in a way, and it's just a lot different. And in some ways, it kind of goes in cycles,
Right.
And so goes back. But that's really what goes back to Professor Sauer is. Even though his game is not this Brembolio or whatever you're doing now, he doesn't even have to know the move. You ask him a question, he goes, oh, let's see it, and you can just take it apart.
Right.
So the basics, Roger Gracie has that kind of jiu-jitsu. It always works.
Like he understands the underlying concepts?
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk to some of these old school guys, and they can defeat all the positions even though they don't know them. But there's another guy whose name I'm not going to mention, but he's a legend of the sport, an old school guy, and he hasn't done too well in competition recently. And he told me that he just doesn't understand competition anymore. The game has changed so much. How do you feel about the fact that so many other positions have been 50-50 and stalling positions have come about to change the game?
I'm not sure I understand that exactly. Last part of that question. What do you?
Well, like if you look back at the old school guys, they just went for it, right? They didn't get into 50-50 positions just to hold the action or to win too much on advantages. A lot of times the guys would just go and push and push and push. Nowadays, sometimes you see guys get lucky with the takedown and just hold the position.
All the time. It's the discouraging part about it sometimes.
Right.
That's why I loved Horian's rules. That was the first tournament I did. Actually, I don't remember which match it was. I did okay, and then I got triangled by Jeff Glover at my match, which I guess was no big shame.
Right.
The guy's phenomenal, and just got caught. But those rules were more to, if we had more of those rules, I'd be competing. I'm not a big fan of watching a 50-50 and a guy steps to the left and maybe gets an advantage, steps to the right. Whereas you see Kron balloon sweeping the guy and he doesn't get points for it. So, but then again, I respect it, and I actually had Ramon Lemos come out to my school to do a seminar, just because I was curious and wanted to find out, and I learned a lot. Super nice guy, and his guys were multidimensional. No, it wasn't just the 50-50. This guy's known for whatever, but he might have a good top game too, and so.
For you guys that don't know, Ramon Lemos is the founder of Atos and also the coach of the Mendes brothers. What kind of things did Ramon go over when he was training with you?
I specifically was asking about the 50-50 at the time, curious. Some half-guard positions, but I don't know, I can shoot you some of the video.
Cool. So you have a school in San Diego.
Yeah.
The jiu-jitsu scene in San Diego has changed a lot in recent years. So many people have come into it. What's your opinion of the scene in San Diego right now? Is it oversaturated?
Everything in San Diego is oversaturated. There's a tattoo parlor on every corner. There's one just down the street. We're like, oh, yay, another tattoo parlor. But, look at the population, and I don't even think jiu-jitsu is begin to, we're nowhere near where it's going to go. So there's enough for everybody. It's what I'm doing is a little bit different than the competition thing. It's a little bit different of a market as well, and my business model. But I think it's good. You do see a lot of schools coming and going real quick, and a lot of big schools, and it's nice to be able to have choices these days too, though. And different vibe, different instructor, different type of place. Some guy who's a gentleman, like it was a lawyer or something, might not want to be with a bunch of tough guys, and vice versa. So it's cool. There's a lot of good guys in San Diego. Rodrigo Maderos is out there. I trained with him. He was nice enough to let me train at his gym for a couple of years. super cool school.
But he just moved to Hong Kong, right?
He's in Hong Kong. I believe Stefano is running a school.
Okay.
But real cool bunch of guys. So much talent out there. I mean, I wish I had that opportunity when I was coming up, and you know, it was more frowned upon to train elsewhere. You know, except for Professor was more like he wouldn't limit your options as long as you respected his flag and everything. So that was cool.
Right.
Appreciated that.
Speaking of your school, you had a terrible accident. How long ago was this?
About 3-4 years ago.
And tell us what happened there.
I got a phone call by a gentleman saying, this is San Diego Police Department, stuttering police officer at 1 in the morning is like, you know, telling me in a long way that a car went through my building. I tell him to, you know, take a hike, whatever. A stuttering cop. Thought someone was messing with me, and I go there, and there's a big old hole through the front of the gym. What was interesting about it was, well, number one, the lady was affiliated with the police department. She worked there too. Probably got pulled over on the way home, right? They made the whole thing disappear like it never happened. So, you know, it was just getting tapped and getting back up and training again. That's all it was. But what was interesting about it is there's a voodoo shop next door. And yeah, I don't know if it's the vibe or what, but 2 years later to the month, I can't tell you the day, but 2 years later to the month, car went through it again. This time it was, believe it or not, a tattoo parlor. So, wow. It's not even on the corner. That's what's so interesting about it. It's unbelievable.
Were you guys on poor terms with the voodoo shop, or?
No, we didn't really go in there.
Just glad that wasn't during working hours, you know.
Yeah,
right.
Somebody, I mean, my dog kind of sits there at that spot. He would have been done, and God forbid, yeah, somebody.
Wow.
Right.
Whole front office.
Jeez. So recently you've been working with Eduardo Tellez. And tell us what's been going on with that.
He's an old friend, and he comes to San Diego a lot. He's been helping me out and teaching at my school, and you know, we've always been on good terms, and he's good terms with our, you know, Professor Sauer, and so I'm trying to expose my guys to the most. Really, what I'm trying to do is have the competition and unique advanced jiu-jitsu with a basic fundamental like Elio Gracie's curriculum that Professor Sauer does, and have it both, and kind of have the guys just learn and be exposed to all of it instead of one style or another style. So it's been a cool trip.
That's a very interesting combination. You mentioned Elio Gracie style traditional jiu-jitsu and Eduardo Tellez. That's almost a contrast, but a very interesting combination. Eduardo is one of my favorite guys to watch.
Right.
Some people don't like him because he's so defensive, but that's what makes it interesting. He has such a unique style and gives people the false belief that they're actually getting somewhere when they're attacking him in the turtle position.
Oh, I know that. I got him.
But I always wonder, I've never seen a high-level Eduardo Tellez student. Do his students play the same game as he does?
I haven't trained with too many of his students. I know 2 of them rather well. Paulinho, and the other guy's name is Fernando Valvoline or something like that. Anyway, Fernando's got a real strong top game. To answer your question, no. And even though he's known for the turtle or whatnot, you know, he's got a very good passing game, and it's not just the turtle. So that's just kind of maybe what sticks out as unique. It's what he likes to do, but he's a real smart guy, and he has a very smart game. And it takes more an advanced guy to kind of appreciate what's going on there too. I can understand when, you know, guys are like, but sometimes it's not what you think it is, you know. And yeah, Paulinho's phenomenal. Fernando just competed. He was at my school in the last Pan Americans, so they're all pretty good guys.
Tellez is a fascinating guy. I admire his game. I want to study with him. But when you watch him compete, especially in recent tournaments, it seems like he never quite gets the aggression out You know, he's playing turtle the whole time. He's getting attacked the whole time, and it's really hard to score from the turtle position. Do you think that's a smart game for competition?
Oh wow, I'm gonna get choked out.
How's that bus feel?
You know, it's kind of interesting because we were talking about that one of his last tournaments that he did. I think one before the last, not the No-Gi Worlds, the Gi one, and he is talking about coming out more aggressive, actually, maybe with takedowns and whatnot, and you know, working. It's the thing with the guy; he like overtrains almost. I think he's always in there. Goes from my spot, goes visits Andre, goes Rodrigo's, just training all day. So it's kind of you know, fascinating. Me personally, I studied that game just so. Let's put it this way: for 5 years, I was getting tapped by guys, perhaps not as, you know, advanced or whatnot, because I was trying that game and I was set on it. And eventually, I started to learn it, but now I use it when I need to use it. So I go there but I'm going to try to pass. I'm going to try to stay on top or sweep the guy or whatnot, but that's just my preference, you know. I'm also not built like him.
Right.
I can't take a lot of abuse, and guys, you know, got a thick neck.
Yeah. So recently we've been working on a DVD with you and Eduardo Tellus, and we're going to show a clip. But before we do, tell us a little bit about the concept of the DVD.
We were looking more at escapes and defenses and counters because, to my knowledge, there wasn't a whole lot done on it till I talked to you and I found out that the exact same thing was done with some of the ideas I had. Exactly. But that was pretty much the reason for it, you know. I think, and also guys need to know how to defend and survive, you know. So I don't really think you lost the match if you know, God, I'm gonna get reamed for this. If you lose it on points, you know what I mean? Or I don't think if you really won sometimes if you won it. Sometimes you need to tap the guy. That was at least the mindset of where I trained, you know. You don't tap the guy, you didn't win. So, you know, go for the tap. That's the idea behind it. But anyway, defense and counters, that was the idea.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've seen Tellus get tapped. Maybe never. But tell us a little bit about some of the techniques that are covered in the DVD.
Some back escape positions. I think the best thing on there is, and this move is the best thing I've learned since he's came. It's the omoplata escape. There's one of them in there. I don't want to give it away because it's really simple. You're going to be able to do it immediately, you know. But don't know why I didn't think of it. It's right in front of you. But that's phenomenal on there. There's some really cool counters, and I think it's all counters and defenses. I don't think we did anything else on there.
Right. So that DVD will be available on BudoVideos.com. Hopefully by the end of the year. We'll see how the editing goes. But so what else is new with you, Robert? Anything else you're working on?
I'm always working on something. No, not really, not particularly. Just trying to see, you know, the market is saturated as far as the internet goes, and I'm trying to see how to kind of reach people and actually help people and people that need it, you know. Like, I also have a place not in the best neighborhood, and one of the reasons I chose that, not only because of the cheap rent, but because I think the neighborhood could use us, you know, and it'd be a positive influence. Like, my life got turned around from jiu-jitsu, you know. It saved my life. Professor did.
Why do you say that?
Because it gave me focus, it gave me an identity, it gave me a calmer. I mean, it just really helped me understand myself. You know, I couldn't express myself in team sports, and, you know, I was a skateboarder before, a snowboarder or whatever. And that was cool, but nobody was really doing it back then. It was really not smiled upon. So, jiu-jitsu was somewhere you can go and not get chased by the cops and still kind of have that, you know, expressive, you know, sport or body movement or whatnot. I've always liked anything that involves body movement. You know?
Right, that's for sure. You can actually get your aggression out and have no negative consequences, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to go to the mats in a little moment, and Robert's going to show us something. Robert, what are you going to show?
I don't know. What do you want to see? Let's do a counter from a double leg under. Or
double underpass. Okay, all right, sounds good. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back on the mats with Robert Lovi.